Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. My name is Amy, and I'm the founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and courses, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you like the podcast, you're going to love the Irresistible You online course and VIP private podcast. If you want to learn more about it, head on over to irresistibleicing.com/course. That link is also in the show notes. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be here. I have been away for a couple of weeks and I am back and I cannot wait to talk to you. I was out of town. I went down to Texas to visit with my in-laws. My daughter was in one of our cousins' quinceañeras, and then we got home, and then a few days later, it was my kids' spring break, and I took the week off for that, and we went up to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we did mountain things, y'all. So I am back. I am so excited. Today, what I'm talking about is that you don't need another diet. You need a different life. You are not stuck because you haven't found the right plan. You're stuck because you keep trying to fix your body instead of your life. So, this is going to be old school Irresistible You, old school Amy. We're getting into it today. We're doing a little bit of the tough love because you know I have nothing but love for you. And I know that you need to hear things a certain type of way. We don't coddle on this podcast. No, I tell it like it is because I want the best for you, because I respect you. And I know that that's how you need to hear things. And so that's what we're going to do today. So, what I mean by that and what I'm talking about is that you keep making these quick fixes, these quick fad diets, think about all the toxic types of diets that you've tried. Girl, I'm with you because I did them all in the past. We're talking Special K diet, Subway diet, Deal a Meal with Richard Simmons, of course, Weight Watchers, of course, Phentermine, like all the things have been tried and done. And when you're constantly looking at these little quick fixes, focusing on changing your body, do you want to change your body? Yes, I 100% know that you would love to be in a smaller body. I know that you would like to look differently. That is what it is. But when we're constantly jumping from this to this to this to that and doing all these toxic things, I think that what we're avoiding is what we really want. And what we really want is to change how we feel. What we really want is to change our life. And sometimes this is a little bit of deflection because sometimes it's easier to just focus on the diet. It's easier to focus on going all or nothing, getting on this diet plan, trying to lose the weight, trying to hate your body through it, because it's easier to do that than it is to admit, I don't like my life. I don't like, just think of all the different things. It could be so many things, right? I don't like my job. I don't like the relationship with my family. I am miserable because I don't have a relationship or I don't have a family. I'm miserable because I don't speak up for myself. I don't deal with my stuff. There's a variety of reasons of things that you might be avoiding. I don't know what those are because I don't live in your body. And you might not even realize the things that you are avoiding because you're spinning yourself in circles and bending yourself in a pretzel all day long, staying busy, wearing busy as a badge of honor. Oh my God, girl, I got to go here and I got to go there and I got to do this. And then on top of the busy crap and doing everything for everybody else, on top of that, then you're focused on this diet that you got to start on Monday and throw all the shit out of the house and start over on Monday and make it hard and make it rigorous and create a diet that doesn't fit your life. And the more you do that, you get so caught up in that cycle that you don't even realize sometimes the things that aren't going so well in your life. You just know that something's not okay. So when we talk about these quick fixes, I'm talking about the crash diets, the start over on Monday mentality, the punishing workouts. Girl, the punishing workouts. Not going for a nice, movement walk, a nature walk, not doing that. Punishing yourself. Punishing yourself. I don't know if I've ever shared this, and I know I'm going to have like regret after I share this out loud, but I'm going to just say it anyway. Let me tell you one of the dumbest things I ever did for a punishing workout. Now, my old house, I had these closets, and all the closets had mirrors on them, right? So it was a lot of mirrors going on in this room. Okay, so I told myself, you're going to work out today. You're going to work out naked and you're going to lift and you're going to do your workout in the mirror so you can see how ridiculous and gross you look. That's what I told myself. And I did. I did that. That is nothing but hatred for myself, hatred for my body, punishing myself. What is that doing? There is no reason for that. It wasn't like I said, "Damn, I love how I look naked, so I'm going to stand in front of this mirror and I'm going to squat in front of the mirror and just watch myself." No, we weren't doing that. We were doing it to disgust ourselves. You don't have to go to that extreme, and I hope you never go to that extreme. Please do not do that. It is not healthy behavior. But I'm sure you have done something that you're not proud of, that you know was punishing yourself. I know one time we were, this trip had been planned and we knew we were going out of town. And I mean, this was years ago. I think I was back in my apartment. It's been that long. And I realized that I hadn't lost any weight. Girl, the trip was in like 3 days. Okay. So I decide at 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to go run around the neighborhood as hard as I possibly can, as if that's going to do something, as if that's going to move the needle for the trip that's in a couple days. So these quick fixes, they're going to feel toxic. They're going to feel icky. They're going to feel gross. They're going to feel very punishing. Okay. I want you to say this to yourself. Quick fixes don't fix my life. They just give me a smaller body in the same life. Let me say this to you so you get it. Quick fixes don't fix your life. They just give you a smaller body in the same life, and that's the same life that's making you miserable. That's it. You can lose all the weight you want. You can have the dream, hourglass, curvy body, whatever you're into, whatever kind of body you're dreaming about. You can have that dream body. But if you don't fix the things in your life, you're going to have the body, you're going to have the same toxic ass marriage, relationship, friendship, the same tired ass routines. This is a big one. The same avoidances. All the things that you avoid. You're not going to automatically start, "Oh my God, I want to do this now because I'm skinny." That underlying feeling that everything is not okay and that I don't like where I am in my life, that's not going to go away. You're just going to be in a smaller size. And it's not to say that, if you listen to my podcast, I know that these are things you struggle with because I used to struggle with these things. There are people who just wake up one day and they've gained weight because they got older. They put some weight on because their metabolism isn't what it used to be. And they realize, damn, I need to lose some weight. They don't have any emotional issues connected to it. They don't have emotional eating. They just gain weight. I am not that person, and I know you are not that person, more than likely. Okay? You don't need a new body to escape your life. You have to change your life. You have to change your life, not just the body. Okay? And so the real transformation, the transformation when you go out to lose weight and you also work on yourself at the same time, that's a big transformation. You might be in a place where you need to just start working on your life. And that's that emotional weight, right? What is all that emotional weight that is dragging you down, that is holding you back? That is the stuff you have to lose in order to get to your goal weight, in order to be in the right headspace to really truly care enough about yourself to work on your body. Because you actually have to love yourself to work on yourself in terms of your body. And you may not be there today, but there's little things you can do every day that start building up that relationship with yourself. That's what you got to work on. Because when you approach weight loss from a place of hate, from a place of disgust, from a place of just being repulsed when you look in the mirror, that is not going to get you where you want to be. It's not. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we stay stuck? It's easier to focus on your body. It's easier to blame all your problems on your weight. It's easier to be the entitled fat girl than it is to acknowledge your emotional pain. It's easier to sit there and track calories and points and macros than to face the reality of where you are today in your life. You're not where you want to be. You thought you'd be here by this age, right? It's easier to start a diet and throw all the shit out and start over on Monday and go get yourself a pretty planner and get yourself a cute workout outfit. It's easier to start that diet than to have the hard conversations with yourself and the hard conversations with other people in your life. It is easier to quote unquote fix your body than admit that you're unhappy. Because why? We can blame it on being the fat girl. We can blame all our problems. We can blame all our problems. We can blame our laziness. We can blame our lack of ambition. We can blame the reason why we don't have the husband that we want. We can blame the reason that we don't have the job that we want because no one likes me because I'm fat and no one acknowledges me and blah blah blah. We make up all these excuses rather than deal with what's really going on. What's really going on? Okay, dieting is a distraction. And it's a socially acceptable distraction because society has told you that you're not shit unless you're skinny. Society has told you you're not worthy unless you're skinny. Society has told you you don't deserve to advance in life or to up level your life until you look a certain type of way. So you use dieting as a distraction because it's socially acceptable. Being overweight, being fat is the only type of it's a form of discrimination that people are okay with. People are okay with judging and discriminating against people because of their size. And you're also okay with doing it to yourself. So, I have sat in your shoes and I have been there where I was just constantly looking for the next out, the next way to, punish myself and whatever diet I could find that was going to lose weight the fastest. And I wasn't living my ideal life at that point, right? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted out of life, what I wanted it to really look like. And I'm just coming off of two different trips. I told you I was in Houston, Texas, and had an extended weekend there with family. And then the following week, I took the whole week off. And my kids were home from spring break, and we drove out to the mountains. I love the mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains are so beautiful. We did Luray Caverns. We did Natural Bridge. I was posting all my stories, and I'm still working on all my reels and all my posts that I want to get up. So keep an eye out on, Instagram and TikTok at Irresistible Icing. And why am I sharing that with you when we're talking about quick fixes and trying to fix your life and not just your body? Well, the reason I'm sharing that with you is because I've had people say to me, "Oh, it must be nice to travel." Yeah, bitch, it is nice. It's real nice. It's real nice, and I live for it. It is my love language. It is my thing, okay? I don't think I get to travel enough because there's so many places that I want to go. But I hear that said to me. I hear, "Oh, you must be doing good. Y'all going on all these trips and blah blah blah." This lifestyle that I have and this life that I've created also for my children, Frank and I have created for our children, it didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen by accident. And it sure as shit didn't happen because I found the right diet. It happened because at some point in my journey, I chose to build my life. I chose to create the life instead of accepting the life that was handed to me. I chose to create my reality instead of just accepting, well, this is just how it is. People like me don't ever get stuff like this. No, 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 no. I chose my freedom. I chose, I decided to stop waiting and I decided to start creating. And I decided this a long time ago that fixing my life mattered 1,000 times more than only fixing my body. Okay? Life is not perfect. It is not meant to be perfect. My life is far from perfect. It's full, but it's busy, but it's stressful. It's very real, but it's mine. It's mine. And at any point in the trajectory of my life, I decide this is no longer working the way I want it to work. I'm going to take the time to change what it is I don't like. Is it a quick fix? Is it overnight? No, it's not. It's not a quick fix. Time is a very funny thing. And I know you hear this from if you're younger listening to this, you hear this from older people all the time, how time really does fly. And, looking at the calendar, it was 16 years ago that I left my office job. And I decided to try this all out on my own. And there was a lot of ups and downs and a lot of tribulations. And, I still go through stuff. But I decided I wasn't going to throw my life away inside of a desk cubicle in a corporate building anymore. I wasn't doing that. I had to work. I got to figure out something. But I knew that life had way more to offer me than to do that. And I've shared with you all before, it's in many different episodes, the inspiration behind that was Chewy. Chewy was my Chihuahua. He passed in 2025 at almost 16 years old. And it was bringing Chewy into my life that started to give my life some meaning. It started to give me purpose. It started to give me drive. He started to give me a reason to make things different. Because I also realized at that point in my life, I didn't know if I wanted to have kids. I was probably very anti-kid at that time, to be honest. But I also knew if I have kids, I want to be there for my kids. And I have been there for my kids. There is not one little school thing, event, illness, whatever you want to, like, I have been there for everything. And that is something that makes me feel rich. That makes me feel rich. I may not be financially rich, but to be able to be there for my kids, to do things for them, to, be the soft place for them to land when they get home every day, that feels really good. And that was by design. Because I also hear people say, oh, you're so lucky. I am lucky. But I didn't, it wasn't luck that just landed in my lap. It was by intention. And that intention was deciding, you're distracting yourself with the 6-week diet. You're distracting yourself by spending thousands of dollars on some bullshit treatment. You're distracting yourself by doing these crash diets, which make you feel miserable. They make you feel hungry. They make you feel ragey. They make you feel resentful about food. And I'm not doing that anymore. And the more I started to focus on fixing my life and fixing my emotional weight and fixing my mental health, the easier weight loss became. Because I loved myself more. I appreciated myself more, so that I wanted to treat myself right. Now, I'm still not where I want to be. I'm not at my goal weight. I'm probably like 30 pounds out from where I would love to be. But when I compare where I was, it's night and day as far as how I see myself, as far as how I view the world, as far as how I live to do it. I say adventurous things. People that really do adventurous things would laugh, but I know a version of me that was overweight back in the days. I would have never gone for hikes in the woods. No, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have been someone who's a kayaker. I wouldn't have been someone who's into doing those kinds of things. Right? But girl, I'm getting in my purple kayak. I'm getting in my purple kayak with my long nails, with my crystals and shit all over the place. Okay? I go kayaking with my big old hoop diamond earrings. You don't have to fit. People think about kayaking, right? They think, oh, this granola, cargo short wearing, nature person. And that's not me. I'm not that person. I'm still going to be me, but I do this activity and it brings me so much peace. We went out on the water last week for the first time this year, and it's the first time I've gone out with both of our kids because, Javi is 5. The last couple years of him being really young, it just wasn't, we weren't ready. We weren't ready. And now we realize, girl, Catalina's kayak, her hot pink kayak is coming in today because she got her own now. Right? So now we have this beautiful activity that I used to enjoy alone. Why am I crying? Oh my God. Why am I tearing up? This activity that helped me find my inner peace that I used to do with my husband, just the two of us, and we would take Chewy with us sometimes. And I've been able to pass it on to the kids. And they have this outlet at a young age that helps with anxiety. It helps with appreciating nature, using your body for something that feels really fun and good, right? Javi, girl, he's my wild child. He's spicy, okay? And he was sitting with me in my kayak because he's too young to be in his own at this point. And he has no other choice but to sit there and not be, all over the place and acting a fool, because if he acts a fool, guess what? He's going in the water. We're both going to be in the water. And he did so good. He was almost falling asleep on the way back because it was so calm and peaceful. And, when we went up to the mountains. We went to Luray Caverns. I've been there as a kid, been there a couple times as an adult. But this is the first trip with both kids, and we had such a good time. And, you know, that night after we finished, we headed to the hotel and we ordered food. We got pizza for the kids. Frank and I got pupusas, and we brought all of our food from DoorDash into the indoor pool, and we had dinner in there, and the kids were swimming, and then we started swimming with them, and we just had a good old time. And there's even a version of me that would have never done that. I would have never got in the water in my bathing suit, right? And then the next morning, we got up, I got to go to Buc-ee's. We have a Buc-ee's in Virginia, and we did the whole Buc-ee's experience, because it's not a gas station, it's an experience. So we went to Buc-ee's, got some yummy snacks and things, and then we headed out to Natural Bridge. You know, we got to Natural Bridge, and then if you continue on the hike, you'll get to a waterfall. That was beautiful. The weather was perfect. It was just awesome. And there's a version of me that, number one, mentally and emotionally would never have done that, because I don't do that. I don't do that. Right? No, you don't do that because you can't do that. That's why. You don't do that because you're the entitled fat girl who's judging everybody that does that. Getting out in nature and moving your body is one of the best things you can do. It has been it's one of my guiding principles, right? One of our guiding principles in the Irresistible You framework that I teach in the course is be in the moment and feed your soul. You get outdoors in nature, you get in a kayak out there on the water, you are in the moment, because you got to be in the moment, because you got to be paying attention to what you're doing so you don't fall off a cliff or drown yourself, right? But you're feeding your soul. And those are fundamental guiding principles to creating an irresistible life. And so going on these trips, it is nice. It's really nice to give my kids the gift of experience, to give them the gift of travel. There's that reel. I should make one like this too. There's the reel that goes around that's like, if I saw my kids at this age, when I was their age, I would have thought they were the rich kids. I would have. I would have. The things they talk about, they're like, do you like the beaches better in Bahamas, or do you like the beaches in Mexico? Like, girl, what? Like, but I'm not saying that as a flex of like, ooh, we get to take all these trips because we can afford it. I'm saying it because I designed a life that it allows us to take these trips with them, because it wasn't always this way. It was not always this way, okay? I created that. It was not just falling in my lap. That's not how this happened. And through my professional life, I have been through some shit. I could start a whole podcast about all the things I've been through. Don't even get me started. I'm not doing that here. It has not always been easy, right? Even last year, the beginning of last year almost broke me. It about broke me mentally. It was horrible, right? But I'm a fighter. I'm a phoenix. I'm going to always rise from the ashes, and I'm going to come back bigger and better than ever. And that's a choice, right? It's a choice. And that's one of the things I teach my kids all the time. You can't help what happens to you, right? If so and so was mean to you or so and so did this, but your reaction, you get to control that. If it means you got to step away and take a breath, go take a breath. Okay? And again, this lifestyle, right? I'm always practicing gratitude. Gratitude is such a big thing in my life, but sometimes I forget and I got to take a step back and I'm like, wow, summertime's coming. It's getting hot. We've opened the pool. Being able to knock off of work around 2 p.m. and go outside and spend the rest of the afternoon swimming, grilling on a Tuesday? What? Like, I'm so grateful to be able to do that. I'm so grateful to be able to do that. And, some days it's not like that. Some days, there's extra work that has to be done and there's just no, girl, we just finished tax season. Okay, I don't do taxes, but I had a lot of preparation and stuff I had to do to get my taxes, done. And that was a lot of late nights and a lot of sacrificed time. But I decided a long time ago, somewhere around 2009, 2010, that fixing my life mattered more than just fixing my body. That's it. You can lose all the weight in the world and still hate your life. I've done that before. I've lost weight and still wasn't happy with where I was, and the moment life didn't go the way I wanted to, I started emotionally eating again because I didn't have any other coping mechanisms. I didn't have this framework, this irresistible you framework with my guiding principles that I have now. And that grounds me. I don't just talk about this stuff. I don't just sell that in my course and my private podcast. I live it. I do it. I do it all the time. Every single day. I teach it to my kids. A smaller body, and I'm not saying weight loss is weight loss is a beautiful thing. This is such a nuanced topic. It's not black or white. It's nuanced. Weight loss can save your life. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Weight loss can save your life. But a smaller body by itself, without working on your emotional stuff, your emotional weight, doesn't fix your relationships, doesn't automatically, it's not a prerequisite to have confidence. It doesn't create a life that you love. If your life feels off right now, if it doesn't feel like the way you want it to feel, your body is not the only problem. Your body is not the problem, period. Your weight is not the main problem. Now, our weight makes things more complicated. Weight makes things a lot harder. Quite literally, right? It makes things harder to get up and down the steps. It gets harder to find clothes. It's harder to, go out and walk for a mile with your kids in the woods because you can't. It does make things harder. And it also is a way of masking because it's easier to focus on blaming everything on being the fat girl. They don't like me because I'm fat. I didn't get the job because I'm fat. No one talks to me because I'm fat. No, 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 no. Okay, that is what we do is we distract ourselves and we deflect with our weight. So as we start to wrap up this episode, I want you to make a shift. I want you to stop asking yourself, how do I lose weight? And I want you to start asking, why am I not living my life? Because if you're here and you're breathing and you're on the earth, you're alive, but you're not necessarily living. You're existing. And existing and living are not the same thing. So some things to think about, right? If you want to come back to this part in the episode or pause and take some notes, some things to think about here are, what are you avoiding? What is it that you're actually avoiding? What do you actually want? Right? Because we think about losing weight and it's not just the dream body that we see. We also usually envision the life that goes with it. That we think, because we've been sold a lie, thank you toxic diet culture, we envision this life that we think comes with the weight loss, right? And no fault of your own. It's the stupid infomercials. It's the stupid before and after stories of the girl, like she's like, oh, she's all miserable and overweight, and they're like zooming in on the fat rolls. I hate those commercials. And then In the next clip, it's clearly not the same person because it's all fake, and she's like running down the beach Baywatch style and laughing, and it's like this lavish lifestyle. What do you actually want? What is it that you keep thinking the weight loss is going to give you? That's not just the benefits of weight loss, right? Because there are benefits of weight loss: improved levels, improved endurance, improved mobility. Yes, you're going to get that with weight loss, but what are the things that you think are also tied to weight loss? Think about that. And ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting for the weight? When I lose the weight, I'll go on vacation. When I lose the weight, I'll take that trip with the kids. Your kids are getting old. Okay? They're getting old. If you got kids, you only have so many years. If you have pets, you have less years. Okay? And not just for other people, but like, what are you missing out on by yourself? What are you missing out on? So, I want you to take some kind of action. Ask yourself these things, but then encourage yourself to start something new, to book something, change something, have the conversation, get going in the right step, right? And if you are so lost and you don't even know where to begin, you don't even know how to start dumping all of this out, I would definitely encourage you to head on over to irresistibleicing.com/course and enroll yourself. It's a self-study course. You can take it at your own leisure, anywhere, anytime. And the beautiful thing about the course now is that you get the entire course on a podcast. So not only are you getting the videos, the workbooks, the worksheets, all of that stuff that you can go through, when you're on the go, you can pop that podcast in. You can listen to every single training as a podcast episode. And for those of you that have already been through the course and done it the traditional way, you have access to that too. So that's a great place to start. irresistibleicing.com/course. All right. Let's wrap this baby up. We don't need another quick fix. We just got to stop putting our life on hold. When you start working on yourself, when you start fixing your life, the body will follow. And I need you to stop waiting for the weight. You don't need a smaller body. You just need a bigger life. Okay? So I'm going to wrap it up there. I think that's a good place to stop. Please head over to your podcast player and leave a nice rating and review if you don't mind. It does help my podcast get into the algorithm. You can also catch me over on Instagram and TikTok on both platforms. I am at Irresistible Icing. It is a hodgepodge of my life. I share some of the clips from the podcast. I share diamond painting. I share, the little trips and adventures I do with my family, and just my ranting and ravings as well. So head on over there. Make sure, if you are not already, sign up for my email list so you don't miss anything. That is also linked down in the show notes. I hope you have an amazing week. Until the next episode, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.